Welcome back to another episode on Photoshop Basics in Webtrickshome. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at the gradient tool as well as the paint bucket tool in Photoshop. These tools can be used to fill solid colors, patterns, or gradients in the artwork. Let's have a look how we can use these tools then. But right before that, hit the like button and the subscribe button to let me know you are here. Alright, so without wasting time, let's get started. So I'll be working on a blank document for this tutorial. Alright. You can see the gradient tool and the paint bucket tool in a single group right beneath the eraser tools in the tools bar. Right click on it and you can see both tools. We'll start with the gradient tool, and with the gradient tool selected, you can see a couple of options on the options bar. Let's have a look at them. This is the gradient option. Click on the drop down arrow and you can see a couple of gradient samples over here. You can select the one you want to use from here. If you want more gradient options, click on the settings gear at the top right corner and you can see the gradient library from where you can get more gradients. Click on any one of them. Click OK to replace the existing ones with the new ones, or click on append to add them to the existing list. Here you can see a couple of new gradients added to the list. Let's add a couple of more gradients. Here you can see them, right? You can select any one of them and use in your artwork. You can also edit them to your liking, which we'll see in a short while. Or you can also create your own gradient from here. Since we can edit the existing gradient, creating a new gradient is not much required. Let's select one of the existing gradient as of now and explore the other options. Here you can see a couple of gradient styles from which you can choose how you want to apply the gradient. Let's see the first style. This is a linear gradient that will apply the gradient in a linear path in a straight line from one end to the other. That can be either horizontal or vertical. Let's draw a horizontal path here. And you can see how the gradient is applied to the document. Let's draw a vertical line and you can see how it appears. So that's how you can fill up a layer or even a selection of a gradient. We'll fill a selection in a little while. Then you have got the radial gradient, and that will create a gradient starting from the starting point of the line protruding outwards to the edges in a circular shape. You can try out these gradients by defining the beginning point at some unconventional areas and check the outcomes. Then you have got the angle option that will give you a center focused angled gradient. Then you have got the reflected option that will give you the mirror effect of the gradient. Start the gradient from the center to the edge and you'll see the reflection on the other side. Then you have got the diamond option that will give you a center focused diamond gradient. Then you have got the blending modes that we have already learned about. Try any one of the blending modes, draw a gradient, and you can see the impact. Then you have got the opacity option that will determine the opacity of the gradient fill. Then you have got the reverse option that will invert the color combination in the gradient. This gradient sample has same color on both ends, so it won't be noticeable. Let's change it to something else and check it out. Let's clear the history. Revert the blending mode back to normal and draw the gradient. Well, this is the result. Check on the reverse option. You can see the colors are inverted in the gradient view option too. Draw it on the workspace and you can see the colors are inverted. Then you have got the dether option, and this enhances a smooth transition from one color to another in the gradient. If the dether mode is off, you might notice some noise where the colors meet. Alright. Then you have got the transparency option to maintain transparency while drawing with gradient masks. We'll draw with the gradient mask in a short while, but before that, let's have a look on how we can edit the gradient. Click on the gradient bar and a dialog box will appear that allows you to edit the selected gradient. You can select different gradient from here or click on the settings gear to load more gradients. You can see the name of the gradient here and the gradient type. Either you want to create a noisy gradient or a solid color one. Then you have got the smoothness option here that defines the smoothness of the transition between colors. That's what the dether does, right? Then you have got the color stop from where you can define the area a color will occupy. You can drag the color stop handles left or right to increase or decrease area of a color. You can see the color and area value of the color you selected below. You can click on the color box to change the color value in the gradient. Alternatively, you can double click on the color stop to change the color as well. You can also drag the pointer left or right to define the area. You can also click on the gradient bar to add a new color stop, or click on one of the color stop and hit delete or backspace to delete it. Let's add one more color stop here. So you have got the color stops over here and you have got the opacity stops over here if you want to play with it. You can save it as a new gradient if you want to use it in the future, or simply hit OK if you want to use it once only. And you can see your gradient in the gradient view. Draw a path on your work area and you can see the result. Try it with different styles and see the result. So that's how you can work with the gradient. Let's select the type tool and type something here. I'm not going to explain anything about type tool here. We'll see it in detail after a couple of more tutorials. You can select the font type, style, size and color from the options bar. Let's type Webtrickshome. Let's keep it in the center. Let's make it a bit larger. Let's align it horizontally and vertically at the center. Let's add a new blank layer. And take the area selection from the text layer. Hold the Ctrl or Command key and hit on the text layer thumbnail icon and you'll get the selection. Let's hide the text layer. Let's select the gradient tool and draw a gradient path right across the text and you can see the gradient effect. Alternatively, you can create a new layer and fill it with gradient and then clip it to the text layer to get the same effect. We can also make some selection within the document and fill it with a gradient. We can also merge two layers using the gradient tool along with the layer mask. Here I've got an image of a planet underwater and here's an image of a polar bear underwater. We'll merge these two using the gradient tool. Let's drag the polar bear image into the planet workspace. It's a bit bigger, so I'll resize it a bit to match the planet size. Well, that looks okay for me. Now I'll select the gradient tool. Let's add a mask to the polar bear layer. Let's select the black and white gradient. I'll leave the gradient style to radial. Let's check the reverse option off and drag the gradient from the center. Well, the images are merged nicely here because both images have similar color tones, as you might have to work on the hue, saturation and lightness. Here the polar bear is partially visible. Let's select the brush tool. Let's keep the flow down to let's say 20% and paint over the image to make some more areas visible. Make sure the outcome doesn't look unrealistic. And here you can see the final result. So this way you can merge multiple images. This concept is widely used in photo manipulation, but let's keep it simple over here. We'll go in detail in photo manipulation tutorial in the future. Okay. Let's leave it over here and get back to the blank layer again. We'll look at the paint bucket tool now. Select the paint bucket tool and you can see a couple of options on the options bar. The first option allows you to choose between either you want to fill the area with the color from the foreground color swatch or the pattern from the pattern library. Then you have got the blending mode, opacity, tolerance, anti-alias, contiguous and fill all layers option. Basically, all layers option allows you to fill the color in all layers, which is quite useful in composite images. Let's hide all the layers here and select the background layer. Select the foreground option and click on the work area and you can see the layer is filled with the foreground color. Let's change the foreground color and click on the background layer again. And you can see the new foreground color applied on the layer. Let's group all the other layers and lock it so that they don't interfere as much. Let's select one of the pattern and click on the layer. And you can see the pattern is applied on the layer. Play with the blending modes and you can see how things change. Let's see how the tolerance works then. Let's see this in an image. Let's select the foreground color, keep the tolerance as it is, and click on an area where you want to fill the color, and you can see how much area it covers. Let's decrease the tolerance value and try to fill again, and you can see how little area it affects. Let's increase the tolerance and fill again, and you can see the area it affects also increases. Anti-alias, as you already know, keeps the edges smooth. Then you have got the contiguous option that allows only the adjacent area be affected. Alright. It would have created a similar result had you worked with the pattern tool. So this way you can use the gradient tool and the paint bucket tool in Photoshop. Well, that's all for today. Hit like if you found this video useful. Let us know through your comments and please subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thank you.